I haven't done a blooming update all winter because back in January, which is about 2.5 months ago now, the thermostat went out in my grow space here, and I basically had to replace it. And I'm actually quite proud that I replaced the thermostat by myself, because usually when I try to do things related to electricity or cutting wires or anything, I end up in the ER having done something really bad to myself. But I did successfully do it. I did not short out my entire house, and my thermostat started working again. But unfortunately, I think somewhere between maybe 3 days, it was getting down into like maybe the 20s or 30s in here at night, and I didn't realize it because during that time it was like below zero outside. I was in the negatives here in Chicago, and what happens is that in my grow space, my orchids are placed up against the windows in metal racks like this. And up against the windows, it frosted and it was much colder, but then it was actually warmer in the middle of the room. So none of my plants froze solid because air is a really good insulator, but the stuff closest to the windows took some damage, and it actually took them, I want to say, several weeks, many months, like 2.5 months now, to slowly die. I have lost quite a few orchids, and I took that as an excuse to shop during the show season, which is now complete. But unfortunately for me, I had like cold damage on a lot of my buds and my flowers, and so while they still bloomed, as you can see right here for me, up close, the flowers didn't look so great. You could see that they had sort of little crinkled, dried edges from, basically the cold damage. But I guess I will now do today a sort of post-season show of what is blooming for me. Everything is late because it got so cold in here, and but I did develop a whole bunch of space because stuff died, and I did buy some orchids during the show season, and I'll try to point those out as well. I didn't do any haul videos. It's pretty busy for me during the show season, but it's like a little private show for anyone who watches this video. I'm gonna start with my Gorianthe guatemalensis. And if you're a member of the American Orchid Society, I will have an article about my guatemalensis and how I grow it in the April edition of Orchids. Guatemalensis is really late this year. Normally, well, actually, I won't say normally, since usually it can bloom any time between February and April. But last year it bloomed the second week of March, and I had it in our spring show, and it is now 2 days before the end of March, and it was only just opening up. As you can see that I still have some buds to open on it. This is Cattleya intermedia, Forma Cerulean. It is from Orchid Inn via Jim Alt. He was actually shopping at Orchid Inn, I believe, when I was on my cruise 2 years ago, and he texted me photos while I'm in the Caribbean and go, "Do you want this?" And I was like, yes. And so he bought it, I think for like $10, and then he gave it to me. So I really, really like it. I've been trying to add Cerulean to my collection for some time. This was actually in the shelves, and it got a little damaged when I was pulling it out. But you can see here, I'm gonna do a little close-up of the back edge of one of these flowers. Let me see. Of course, could see it. Here it is. It's on the bottom. So you can see how there's this brown line right there. So this flower is actually very close to the windows, and that browning is some of the damage that happened to it because it got so cold in my grow space. Cattleya intermedia can actually take it a little bit colder. It grows a little bit on the cooler side than other Cattleyas, and so it didn't die during the freezing. I mean, I had ice built up on my windows, like, you know, several millimeters thick, so it got really cold in here. This right here is Howiara lava bursts. And I think I got this from Hauserman's, and I am so pleased that I've managed to keep it alive for like 7 years or so now. This is a hybrid from Fred Clark. It is Tropical Sunset Cross to Tokyo Life. Tokyo Life has this sort of lip that you see right here, this sort of red lip. It's against yellow, and this actually has another inflorescence opening up right here that has 4 flowers on it. And hopefully they will open up a little bit better than this, which is basically, see, it's canted up to the sky. One of the vendors that came to the Illinois Orchid Society Spring Show was Orchidario Tradicio. I don't know. I'm sure I'm not saying that correctly. It needs to be in Portuguese, and I don't speak Portuguese. But I actually pre-ordered one plant. I pre-ordered this Brazilian Laelia purpurata flammea, and it is not doing so hot, as you can see by this leaf that has bent itself. I'm not sure how well it took transferring from Brazil, but it was very, very expensive, and I'm trying to baby it, and I don't know. I'm obviously not doing a very good job since this leaf is now bent. So I paused to twist tie that leaf up, but I think it actually probably broke in transit, because if you look right here, there's a black line, and I don't think it's probably actually attached anymore. But we'll see if we can save it. However, I really, really wanted a Brazilian Laelia purpurata. The purpuratas from Brazil have much wider sepals and petals. Everyone thinks they're 4N. They're just really big, and I really, really wanted one, basically to see if I could grow an award winner. And so we'll see how it goes. This Nobly hybrid right here is Dendrobium Red Senator Maxim, and the flowers have been open for a while, and so you can see they're starting to fade. And then right next to it is Dendrobium Open King. They still look pretty nice, and they are very scented. Also still in bloom is Dendrobium Fairy Moon Sweetie right here. But you can see things like this Holy Night is going. My grow space is like a cacophony of scents, because about 3 feet above those dendrobiums are my zygos, and they're also blooming. Well, at least 2 of them are blooming. So I have, this is Jumpin' Jack, and it's in bloom, and zygos are very, very fragrant. And then right next to it is Zygopetalum Advance Australia, also in bloom. Not quite open yet is this Dendrobium secundum. Behind that secundum is Oncidium Irene Mama, which is a clone, but I got it awarded a few years ago, and I believe it had got an HCC. This here is Maxillaria coccinea, and this was a gift from Barry Lubin. And I don't know, the flowers don't open up that much, or maybe they do, and Mine's just not doing well because of all the wacky temperatures that have been going on in here. I have a piece here of Maxillary variabilis that's in bloom. On the other hand, I do not know if my black Maxillary variabilis is blooming at all because it really didn't like getting cold, and lots of it, like you can see back there, the leaves turn brown. I'm gonna probably try to repot it this year, but it was really unhappy with how cold it got. This little flower, these two right here, is some Brassia hybrid John Wick. I got this from Alan Black. All right, so here is the rest of my yellow Maxillary variabilis in bloom, with my Maxillary tenuifolia, which you can also see is not happy because of the cold. And I have my Chysis, I think this is Bractensis right here. And you can see from the holes in this that I've got slugs still in here, and they're getting to my flowers somehow. But this is a really nice bloomer. You can see from all the flowers. Let's see if we can pop it up. Let's see. It looks really nice except for the snail-chewed flower bits. This yellow Cattleya right here is Magic Bell. It's a clone. I think I got this from Carmela's. Like a cheapie from Carmela's, like, you know, one of those $2 plants. Of course, I have a lot of Richard Muller's in bloom. This is Fantasy Bird. Richard Muller crossed to Perennii. Here, we'll see if we can get a better orientation on that flower. Another Fantasy Bird, which from the bite marks, you can tell that there's slugs somewhere that I'm not seeing. This is my green hornet, which I think may never stop blooming. This with two spikes facing toward the wall is Sun May Gold. Next to it is Richard Muller crossed to Jalapa, also facing to the wall. My awarded Memoria Bernice Foster is blooming, one spike. The Maikai Louise next to it is also still blooming. This Claudia Cotarello. All right, so this one, I'm hoping someday to try to take it and be awarded, but it definitely suffered cold damage, and all the flowers did this. So instead of opening up big, you can see they opened up sort of cupped. And so I'll have to try again with it next blooming. Cymbidium Lois Posey, and I actually bought this from Equigenera at the Madison show purely for its color. I like red Oncidiums, and I think this is gorgeous. Dendrobium sulcatum hiding its blooms. Hopefully these clusters will get bigger as my plant gets older. Here's another Fred Clark hybrid, Tropical Trick. This has been in bloom since January, and you can see, you know, it's getting old. Sophrolalia cattleya, I guess it's actually a Rhyncholalia, some kind now. Tokyo Life, which is Tokyo Magic. Oh, I can't remember what else it's crossed to. And this one you can see, so see the leaves right here? This opened up when it was cold, and that was right there with leaf damage. And otherwise, the form on this I think is pretty nice. Here is Brassiolelia cattleya, Maikai Mayumi, or maybe it's not a Brassio because it's got Bauringiana in it. So maybe it's a different hybrid, but it's almost done. And this one is also one of the ones where if you look at it, see it really opened up very cupped because of how cold it was. It's also been in bloom since the freezing of my room. So right here is Dendrobium Love Memory Fizz, and those brown spots right there, that's cold damage. I run a lot of humidity in my room, and sometimes water from the ceiling, water will condense up on the metal that forms the ceiling, and then it will drip down and it hits the flowers and it damages them. but here's what it would look like. They're not cold damaged. Also scented. Here's another orchid from Orchid Inn. This is Loaded GZI. This really wants to be a lot warmer. I have a lot of trouble getting this. It has actually much better form than this. It's probably a little dry, but I have a really, really hard time getting this to open with more than like 2 flowers. Hidden behind this grid, because I'm trying to keep Pinto off my stuff, is Richard Mueller cross to Stephanie Takahashi, which is an Epicattleya. This reliable bloomer right here is Paxton Brooks cross to Newberry Promise. It's from Carter and Holmes, and it blooms every year for me. And I love how wide and pink the flowers are on this, but you know, often you can see like the form's not great always, like the petals will come in, but also they're just really weak. They damage so easily. I've got a Epicattleya Golden Peacock blooming right here. It's another Richard Mueller cross. So this did not open up well. It basically opened up into the window, so you can see it's all squashed, but this is Cattleya Ludimaniana, also from Orchid Inn. So this, I think, it's an R, one of those wrinkle Cattleyas now. This is Big Time, or no, maybe this is a Cattleyanthi now. It used to be a Leliocattleya. And then here is, let me show it to the back. So I bought this from Tenshin. They came with like 50 of these guys. And it is, I guess, a clone, Cymbidium Sunshine Falls. This is, was it, Oncidiopsis Franz Jewels. This is the Ruby Clune. I had gotten a Franz Jewels from Monakia, which the owner of that specializes in breeding Oncidium Alliance hybrids, and unfortunately it died on me. I don't know what I did wrong, but I got another one just because I love this red color in Oncidiums. And I believe this is my Dendrobium Butterfly Jewel, which is a Cuthbertsonii hybrid. I'm not sure of the name because I did send it to the Illinois Orchid Society show and they took the tag out. This right here is Springbird Kirishiki, and it kikied everywhere like a fiend. And so I put the kikis, I ripped off a bunch of the kikis, and they're blooming as well in this little pot right here. Look at that. Very cute little flower. And this is the Cattleya trianae that several years ago I did a video where I divided things that I got from Orchid Inn, and this is one of the ones that was attached to a dendrobium, and I unpotted it and discovered it was a trianae. So this is Noderte. Sorry, this is not Cattleya Lulu. This is actually Spotted Clown. It's Lulu crossed to Brassavola nodosa. Cattleya Lulu. A different nodosa, Brassavola nodosa. This is also a 4N plant, which is supposed to give it, you know, bigger flowers. And again, very cupped because opened up during the cold. This is labeled as a Potenar, but I'm sure it's been changed. And this is El Dorado Sunset. I got this from Gold Country. Another yellowbird, believe this is probably 4N, Brassavola nodosa. And this flower right here, if you compare, this is on the same plant. So this is a newer flower, but this opened up during the freeze, and you can see how cupped and curly it is. Brassavola yellowbird. I have really wanted an antelope type dendrobium that had blue twinkle in it, because when they have blue twinkle, you get the curly horns of the antelope type, and then they're tinted purple, bluish purple on the ends. And I think that is just the cutest thing ever. I have this Loana Nicola that I bought from Nat's at the Chicagoland Orchid Festival back in September. And it's been living in my kitchen. And it actually, this is a completely new spike. It put out 2 new spikes, but I sent it to a show and they ripped all the flowers off of this spike somehow. And I have to redo my hot box, but I do have some a Baron/Norman by Ants hybrids in bloom here. So this right here that actually is Dendrobium Norman by Ants. It's a miniature Latoria type Dendrobium with huge flowers for the size of the plant. I did get my primary love from Tenshin Gardens, which is Asian Cymbidiums, like this Senense Ruhua that was in spike, but you can see that the flowers really suffered in the transit. I got 4 from them. I didn't pre-order, but I helped, quote unquote, unpack the Cymbidiums on Friday night, and they let me pick through all of them and pick my favorites. And if you're wondering, they were not free, but I did get first choice. I also got this one and this ensipholium over here. And then I helped them out on Sunday and convinced them to give me a free plant right here, which because I picked it up at the very end, it has this sort of red tinted foliage. I don't know if you can see, but these had leaves when I got it and they basically died since then. I have this Phalaenopsis Sogo Vivian in bloom on my windowsill at home. I also have Phalaenopsis blooming on my windowsills at work. I got this Hose Phantom of Green Grove last year when I was in Taiwan. It had influence full of flowers, and it has basically, I don't know, grown its spike out a little bit more for some new flowers this year. So basically it has not stopped blooming since I brought it home from Taiwan. And finally, I don't even know if we'll be able to see the flower. I have this Daikia that I got from Equigenera last fall, which is actually doing really well. Lots of times these miniatures I get from them just slowly die over the months. And it is blooming these tiny little flowers. Hopefully keep it in focus. Let's see if I can tilt it a little bit so we can see the flower a little bit better. There we go. So it's been blooming these tiny little flowers for a couple weeks now. And I'm really pleased that it's still alive and it's blooming. I basically water this whenever I wash the dishes. It's growing here in a northern window right above my sink. So if you too want to grow a Daikia, at least in the winter, northern window is just fine. And that is all the orchids that I can find. And this is the end of my private orchid show for everyone.